Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Nancy Mehring, Director of Alumni and Parent Relations at Gordon, and I, too, am pleased to welcome, greet everyone who's here, students, faculty, staff. I've already seen a lot of visiting family members, and I know alumni are here and will be coming in over the weekend. And what a gorgeous weekend we have. I've been thinking about the word homecoming. It's a nice word, don't you think? I would love to know which college was the first one to use it for this time when alumni return. I probably should do some research on Wikipedia to find that out. I think it's an appealing word and also an apt word for what happens at this or any college at homecoming. Home. At its best, that implies good things, that word. Shelter, comfort, people who love us and with whom we want to be, a place we can be ourselves. And coming home. Students know what that's about at school breaks when they step back into the life and activity and reconnect with people at home. It's a respite. That's what happens at a college homecoming. The alumni who value the experiences they had and all the people, faculty, staff, and fellow students who shaped and supported them at a critical time in their lives come home to that place and those people to be refreshed and renewed. Of course, this is your life now, students, and just as our alumni did and continue to, you are both benefiting from and contributing to Gordon College, continuing the process of shaping its identity. Every homecoming reminds us of our common past and heritage, stretching all the way back to the 1890s for Gordon and to 1900 for Barrington. Both colleges began as places of training, the Boston Missionary Training Institute and Bethel Bible Training School. The names make it clear that the focus was on training, preparing young Christian men and women for a lifestyle of servanthood and leadership. In the early years, for service on mission fields in particular, and continuing today in homes, workplaces, church, and communities worldwide. Throughout this morning's program, we'll hear from our 2010 Alumni Award winners, the folks on the platform behind me. These men and women are part of your heritage. They've had a part in shaping Gordon College to become and remain an institution of higher learning committed to Jesus Christ and to helping Christian young men and women find and follow their respective vocations and avocations. There'll be further celebration of the 2010 Alumni Award winners at tonight's Great Scott celebration at 7:15 in the Ken Olson Center. After you hear a bit from them this morning, you may want to learn more about these lives spent in very different ways through theater, teaching, urban ministry, working for peace and justice, and missions in service to our Lord and His people. The magic words, chapel credit, will be given to students who attend tonight's program. And again, that's at 7:15 in Olson, the auditorium. This morning, our award winners are going to answer a question. What one thing coming out of their life, including college, and their work, do they want to share with the Gordon community? I anticipate some important words of wisdom for all of us. Our first speaker and the winner of this year's Alumnus of the Year Award is Karin Coonrod, class of 76. And by the way, Karin, who is immersed in the theater, will be giving a theater workshop tomorrow morning at 11 in the Barrington Gallery, Art Gallery at 11, one of the Smart Scott sessions. After Karin, you will hear also from Ernest, class of 64 Barrington, and Sudarshan, Gordon 88, father and son, and winners together of the A.J. Gordon Missionary Service Award. Also from Russ Steponic, class of 89, winner of the WINIFRED CURRIE Award in Education. Paul Malkemes, 95, winner with his wife Glenna, 94, of the Jack Good Community Service Award. And Ryan McDonald, 04, the 2010 Young Alumnus of the Year. Join me now in greeting all of our award winners and welcoming Karin to the podium.
It's great to be here under these circumstances, and I thank you, especially at this time of New Year. The landscape of my inner experience is a little on the crazy side. It spills out of the borders of civility, and often I can count on it to give me a stark vantage point from which to observe. Listening to one's own rhythm is essential. One has to calibrate the way forward by tapping the inchoate excesses for purposes of the theater work that I do, and resting in the I am for whatever is not my business. And there is a lot that's not my business. Living in New York has been a thrill and also a challenge. Generally, the MO is a brand of low-grade cynicism. Sometimes I enter into it because it can be awfully funny. A kind of dragon laughter in the midst of a pre-epiphanic reality, hence my deep appreciation for the hilarity of a Flannery O'Connor story and the gripped by the throat sensation of being implicated as an audience. Yet the joy is seeing how people are hungry to believe. "Help my unbelief," said the father of the child with the dumb spirit. And those few times we dare to believe, how astonishing it is what we begin to know. How slowly or quickly that grows into something larger than what is seen, the stuff of the eternal. So for me, positioned in this profession, so volatile a profession concerned with injustice and served by it, what I bring you is unrealized dreams and unfinished theatrical symphonies. Like Dante, I'm just in the middle of what I hope to do, and who knows what the time will bring. Meanwhile, altars, stages, and tables overlap. Pages of text overlap. Words are more than words. The invisible comes to the surface through an oral palimpsest, and time is festive. It is in the theater, that wild child of the arts, demanding so much of its people, that we can celebrate the time together, bringing forth stunning, shocking presents. A tiny, powerful book written by Abraham Joshua Heschel, introduced to me, yes, by Professor Marvin Wilson, long ago when I was 19, is called The Sabbath. Here's a quote. "Every one of us occupies a portion of space. He takes it up exclusively. The portion of space which my body occupies is taken up by myself in exclusion of anyone else. Yet no one possesses time. There is no moment which I possess exclusively. This very moment belongs to all living men, as it belongs to me. We share time. We own space. Through my ownership of space, I am a rival of all other beings. Through my living in time, I am a contemporary of all other beings. Moments of stone are destined to disappear. Days of spirit never pass away." So my work as a theater artist is holy. We are who we are, and we are connected to the I am. And what we do builds either who we are or what we have. Since my mother died, and very recently my father too, More and more, I look up at the sky, so promising a vastness. There I see the most stunning painting, more amazing than Tiepolo. And I see the most thrilling movie, more even better than Gus Van Sant. The most constant swirling philosophy ahead of Hamlet. The very act of creation in front of us, like the book of Genesis, swirling ever over our heads, ever voluptuous in its changes. As my dad said to me less than a year ago, in times of discouragement, "Well, honey, just have to keep it going." With all the strangers and all the angels, may we make the time holy. Thank you.
It is a great honor and blessing for me today to be recognized by this esteemed educational institution. It is a double joy to share this honor with my son, Sudarshan Jyoti Komanapalli, an alumnus of Gordon College. I have wonderful memories of being a student of Barrington College, and it is a privilege to share with you my experiences at Barrington College. First of all, I must give thanks to the Lord Jesus Christ for giving me the privilege of serving him in the ministry for the last 50 years. I also thank him for giving me godly parents. My father was a preacher who instilled the Word of God, and my prayerful mother who steered me into the ministry. With grateful heart, I recognize my wife, Rachel, who has walked beside me in all the circumstances as we followed the Lord in ministry. I accepted the invitation of Dr. Karin, President of Barrington College, and Mr. Kramer, the Director of Admissions, in the fall of 1962. I came to Rhode Island as a transfer student from Southern Asia Bible College in India through Zion Bible Institute. God had a great plan for my life in bringing me here, and now when I look back, I see the hand of God orchestrated my life. Great men and women who influenced my life here in this esteemed college and country. I was blessed to be a student of godly and dedicated professors who taught by example. The seeds sown by them have left an indelible impact on my life. Dr. Crum, the academic dean, took me to meetings and gave me the opportunity to speak. It was an entirely new experience for me, but he encouraged me and gave me opportunities of a lifetime. I learned so much from observing his life. And so, Mr. Johnson, the professor of French, took me to visit various places where I had the first-hand experience in the Christian culture of that time. Dr. Marion Bean was always a good friend and inspiration. She is a friend of the ministries in India. During my graduation ceremony at Barrington College, Dr. Karin encouraged me to pursue higher education at a graduate school. I enjoyed the teaching and friendship of all the teachers and the students who were there during my years as a student. I have 3 principles that I follow. The first one is faithfulness excels fame. Number 2, the founder of Salvation Army, General William Booth, who proclaimed, "Soap, soup, salvation," is a vital statement even today in reaching the unreached people. The question the people ask me today, after over 2,000 years of the birth of Jesus, how long ago did Jesus come to take my sin away? And this question grips and challenges my heart every day. Today, we have 1,000 pastors and evangelists with over 1,400 established congregations. We are looking after 4,500 children, feeding them, clothing them, educating them, and raising them in the knowledge of Jesus Christ. During the last 40 years, 15,000 children have been raised and became productive citizens of the land and God. We are running now 15 schools, 2 trade schools, 1 Bible college, 4 Bible institutes, 2 accredited degree colleges, 1 hospital, 3 clinics, a new life center for the leprosy patients. Though at times the vision seems overwhelming, the goal always remains to win more souls and enrich more lives for Christ until Jesus comes. I thank my professors for investing in my life, and look what the Lord has done. I thank God for His faithfulness through the years. To Him be all glory and honor forever. God bless you.
Still a great surprise and yet a great honor to be here this weekend. I actually wrote back when they sent me the letter asking if they had made a mistake. But now I'm thrilled to be sharing this with my father. I want to share just a couple of thoughts of things that I've recognized in my life over the years and hope that it makes you think about it and challenge you to recognize the people that have invested in you. I got to say that whatever I've accomplished in this world in these short years have been purely because of the grace of Jesus Christ and the foundations of my life poured in by my parents. Whatever I've done, I wouldn't have been able to do without my wife, Asha, and my 2 beautiful daughters are truly what inspire me every day to be a better man and a better man of God. When I think back over the years of ministry and service, you can clearly see certain people and defining moments that have had an enduring influence. Of course, the Lord, my parents. My parents stepped out, the courage of faith, into nothing. And obedient to the call of God, they reached out to a nation of India and the world with the compassionate love of Jesus Christ. Probably the greatest education was having a front row seat as their son, seeing the grace, mercy, and miracles of God. My father reinforced by his life the founding principle of ministry for me, and that is to love God and to love God's people. I came to Gordon as part of the merger with Barrington College. I came a bit bitter, I must say, but through the course of time assimilated into Gordon. And I will always carry memories of some of the lasting influences of professors and staff and faculty. Especially remember Timothy Stebbings, who would always call me in the morning to make sure I made his 8 a.m. accounting class. But he imparted so much more as I worked my internship with him. Dr. Green, always keeping my feet to the fire. Dr. Louis Lugo, who taught me to see the other point of view with respect and dignity while not compromising my own. Doctors Mason, Smith, Askew, and Harper, who all imparted their wisdom and challenged my thinking. Terry Charick for his patience and gentle prodding to go further in my faith. There is, however, one person who stands out during my time at Gordon, and that's Dr. Harold Bussell. I have and always will consider him one of my mentors. He took a rebel with a cause and a rebel without a cause, because I was a preacher's kid. And with God's help and direction, he helped me come to grips with my calling to ministry. What started out as an administrative action turned into a dialogue and friendship. And I thank God for putting his man at the right place and time. I could go on with many others and memories and influences at my time at Gordon. However, I don't want to give the organizers any more stress. Gordon was an important part of my life, not just for the academics learned, the friendships forged, but for the lasting impact of the integration of life and faith, not just expressed in words, but lived out in action. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. That is one of my most favorite hymns of all time, so I really appreciate all the work you put into that. Gordon College Convocation, wow. I graduated from here 20 years ago. There are courses on my transcript that I don't remember taking at all, and I think that's pretty bizarre. But what I do remember, and what I continue to cherish from my Gordon education, is that there is a way of looking at the world and of living in the world that is wholly different from the way the world itself looks and lives. It's that biblical worldview that your profs keep drumming into you over and over and over again, into your heads and into your hearts. And I learned it best from Stan Gady, but I've made it my own over 20 years. This biblical worldview has something to say about the way I learn. It tells me that an eternal God created everything I see around me, that the stuff of this world is real and knowable, and it's good, and that in knowing the world, I catch a glimpse of the wonder of its creator. Have you seen the trees today? They're alive, and they're about to burst into color. Stars, sunsets, string theory. My friend's 4-month-old daughter, asleep on my chest. It's all amazing. It's wondrous, and it fills me with awe and wonder at worship at every turn. And I learned that at Gordon College. This biblical worldview has something to say about the way I live. The God of the universe took on flesh. Jesus broke into our broken world, not with wrath or with judgment, but with kindness and mercy, with healing and forgiveness. And it cost him dearly to do this. This humble servant, Jesus, asks the same humble service of me. He asks me to live a life of loving others, of considering their needs before my own, of laying down my life for theirs. It's part of why I became a teacher, and it's part of why I moved to the Middle East. And sometimes it has indeed cost me dearly. But God's reign and rule moves forward when we radically love and serve others. I learned that here at Gordon College. But more than all these things, the biblical worldview I encountered at Gordon tells me that I am loved. I am deeply loved. There is a Father in heaven who intimately knows me and calls me his own. He pursues me with a passion and a desire I will never comprehend. He is gentle and patient with my weaknesses and my frailties. He knows that I am dust. And I can tell you that through confusion and chaos, through doubt and despair, this love, this Father's amazing love, well, it's all that I had to hold on to some days. And I've learned that this love is strong and sure and trustworthy, without bounds, without conditions, without end. And if you learn nothing else from your years here at Gordon, I earnestly hope that you will learn of the Father's love for you and for all of those around you. Thank you.
We're going to take the opportunity to share together this morning with you the story, just a snapshot of the story of the Boston Project Ministries, a story that's very important to us because it's very clearly rooted in Gordon College, in that the ministry began here 15 years ago, but not only did it begin here, but over the last 15 years, dozens and dozens of Gordon students have come and volunteered and served with us in the heart of Boston. And so it was a late-night van ride, maybe one like many of you have been on before, 15 years ago for us. We were returning from a conference out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, And it was in the middle of the night, and most of the students in the van were sound asleep. But two of us remained awake, talking through the midnight hours and getting excited about this idea of involving teenagers in service as a way to help them grow in their Christian faith. We just got juiced by that idea, the idea of helping others learn what it simply means to practice loving our neighbor every day. And as we returned to Gordon College and we began to share this vision with other people, it was amazing, almost miraculous for us, because we discovered that God was speaking that same vision to 8 different people at the same time. So one evening, the 8 students, we all gathered together. We actually gathered up in the 3rd floor of this very chapel in a room that wasn't finished yet. We gathered to pray and to seek God about this vision that he had given us. Some folks that you may know were there, Cammie and Stephen Forrester, who serve as RDs. Professor Mark Canister jumped in early on to help provide advice and guidance to us as a young group. And we had naive ideas at first, but our adrenaline was going. None of us were from the city, but God put Boston on our hearts. None of us had led a nonprofit before, but we formed one anyways. We spent a year and a half in prayer and planning before we even did a single outreach event in the city of Boston. And what God started 15 years ago as a short-term missions program for youth, God has grown now into a larger Christian community development movement based in neighborhood ministry houses that we live in the neighborhoods of Dorchester.
Living in the neighborhood where we serve and do ministry for over a decade now, we've been blessed to see tremendous growth. We've labored to build a children's park on the street where we live. We provide jobs now for 25 to 30 at-risk youth each year. We offer free summer programming for over 100 youth in our little neighborhood. And we host a thriving community group made up of residents. But for all of this growth we've seen, what it all comes back to is our relationships. How much we know and love our neighbors, and how much we're in love with God. Going to what Russ just said, it's about knowing that deep love God has for us and pouring that out into our neighbors that live side by side with us. Paul and I have a favorite motto. We welcome interruptions. When our doorbell rings, our neighbors know that we will answer it. They know that we love God, and our heart is that they will just see God's love for them in us. For us, you may say, what does welcoming interruptions mean? It means helping a neighbor get fair treatment in court. Listening to a mom on her front porch cry about the wrong choices her teenage daughter's making. It means sharing our home with our neighbors, including using computers or the laundry. Grieving together when violence erupts in our community. Joining together with our neighbors in our park eating and dancing, including country line dancing, if you can believe it. And it means telling a young boy everyone has nicknamed evil, that he's made in the image of God, who has a purpose for him and a plan with hope and a terrific future.
As we considered, what one thing Gordon, and through our experience here, has shaped us, we thought we might take the opportunity to have 2, since there's 2 of us up here. The first is to pursue that vision that God has given you. Part of the power of the Boston Project story is we were all college students. God spoke that vision to us here on this campus, and we, no holds barred, went after it. And maybe God is speaking a vision to you today. Maybe there's something that God has said to you that you've either squashed or put in your back pocket. And our encouragement to you is to pursue that, because it may be your life calling. The second thing out of our stories that we found to be very powerful and shaping for us is this idea of welcoming interruptions. Our world can come across to us, and many of you, as a pretty complicated place, But there's something powerful in keeping a simple perspective as well. And so as we welcome interruptions, as we wake up in the morning, we ask God each morning, how can I love my neighbor more today? And we ask God with a passion and an excitement for discovering the answer that he has for us. And so the word says, let your light shine before men that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. That is our life passion that God began here at Gordon and continues in the heart of Boston now. Thank you, Gordon College.
Thank you.
Morning. I was asked to share, as all the other awardees were, a bit of advice, a story or memory with you, something from my own experience that might encourage or inspire you. But the problem is, we're all on different paths. We're all pursuing different dreams. Some of you are going to become doctors and nurses, writers, preachers, social workers. I'm none of these. So what can I say to you? And I'm also following all of these great people. So what do I have to share? Well, if I could give one piece of advice, it would be to find the individuals, the people in your life that are willing to invest in you, and locate those opportunities that challenge you. If you're walking closely with your Maker, and I hope that you are, then finding those challenging mentors and those experiences that will allow you to fully become the person that you were created to be. Relationship is a rich blessing from God. We live out our salvation not in a vacuum, but in context with others, through our actions to others. Find the men and women that you want to emulate. Look for their rich example of tactile ways that you can build the kingdom of God. New experiences change us. Take travel, for instance. When we visit a new place, there's something magic that happens to us. Our mind is stretched in new ways through the conversations that we have, through the things that we see, the culture that we take in, the food that we taste. It's a visceral thing, and as our mind is stretched, as we are stretched, we never fully return to quite the same shape, and that's a blessing. It might sound trite to you, but you see, Gordon was and is a place where I found faculty, staff, peers, and experiences that encouraged and grew me. I mean that in specific ways that I can point to and say, yes, that person, or definitely that experience. Here's a few examples. At a Convocation series my freshman year, we learned about South Africa's post-apartheid development. To be honest, I knew nothing about South Africa and probably, could have identified it on a globe, and that was about it. But because of that experience, because of that really wrestling through the context of a new democracy, exploring and stretching and growing, I ended up getting my master's in South Africa. It's a long story, but in 2005, I moved to Johannesburg and studied the successes and challenges and development processes of this new country. My junior year, I studied at Gordon's Oxford program, and there I sort of immersed myself in studying post-World War II economics, and for the first time saw American politics outside of that conservative, liberal, right-left divide that we often feel so trapped in. I also heard, I think for the first time during that year, the Christian's call to engage the alien in our midst, the alien that often is in our midst because of war. That's led me to live overseas in war-torn countries and to work with refugees that are coming into places that we know, like Boston, like the North Shore. A third experience is really, it's about people. It's about relationships. My friends, my closest friends, who range from 24 to 65, most of them are connected to this place in some special way. Even some of them I didn't know while at Gordon, but I've met as I've journeyed along. These are just a few examples of many. The point is that 6 years after I've left this place, these relationships, these experiences, these challenges continue to guide and shape me into the person that I'm becoming. Most of the faculty and staff that mentored me are actually still here, which only underscores their commitment to this place and to you. So my advice to you, seek out the people and the experiences that will guide you to become your true self, the person that God has made you to be. Thank you.